indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any public people listening in that would like to make any comments? Hearing none. Review and approval of minutes. Hopefully all the committee have had a chance to read them, review them. Are there any questions, concerns? Could I have someone make a motion to approve as typed by our secretary, Ms. Gadry?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you, David. A second?
A second.
Jeff, we'll take Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Thank you. Chairman comments, I just have three quickies. Update on the committee's bylaws and membership. Heather and I have been working through this. We hope by March we will have, what our final recommendations are. I'd like to give a compliment to everyone at the Youth and Family Service Bureau for the wonderful programs. I love getting these almost every day, a new listing of a new thing, and it's across the board. It's for young kids, it's for older people, it's for grandparents raising grand. It's absolutely terrific. Kudos to you. And also, the other past meeting, we have no students here tonight, but listening in, but it's very important that they bring forth, messages for us of what's going on there. But also, I did mention, and I should, that you people, if you have concerns that are not on the agenda, if you want to contact me prior to the meeting or during the meeting, feel free to bring issues up, because we want to make sure that we're servicing the commission in a positive way. Okay. I turn the meeting over to our illustrious director, Heather.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight and online. I hope that was okay for the last minute switch to keep you all warm at home. And you'll get some things emailed to you in the next few days related to the report that I'm going to be giving later. But at this time, I'm going to ask Susan Consoli, our social services coordinator, to present her budget, because that's part of the agency here. So we'll be doing a Board of Finance presentation at the town level on January 28th. The evening starts at 6:30. I do not yet know what order it's going to go in, so I can update you as we get closer to that time. I'm going to turn this over to Susan.
Okay, so this is just the budget. It's actually not changed, which you'll see as we go through the slides. You can go ahead to the next slide. Actually, you can skip right over to slide 3, page 3.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that, Heather?
It's up on the, it's on the screen.
So doing it or you're doing it? I thought you were doing it, changing it. You want me to just go ahead?
No, Brittany is.
I got it. It's budget overview.
Okay. Yeah, go right to 3.
Can you see it?
On
We
the
see
side.
one, but 3 is not enlarged.
Yeah. We're still on 1.
All right, hang on one sec.
It's delay.
Sue,
We
we
can-
should have a thing of the senior strings to play while we're waiting.
I know, really.
There we go. All right, can you see that?
Yeah, well, actually, if you back up 1 slide, that gives us, the baseline. So we're on 4 now. We could be on 3.
I think this is currently what I have. I must be missing a page. That's
No,
yours?
the pages are on
No?
the side. I'll just
Okay.
explain it. It's really, here's the
Okay.
thing. This budget's easy. The budget is basically plugging in all the numbers that I was given by Leanne. We haven't changed the budget is what I'm gonna get down to. The budget is actually the same. The only increase that is happening in this budget overall, which you will see if you could look at the little thumbnails on the side, is that it's increasing by roughly 2.7%. say that's overall. Hang on one second. Yeah, 2.7, I believe, was overall, and it's mostly because of all that is really is the cost of living adjustment that happens with salaries and benefits, you know, workman's comp, all that stuff that just goes up every year. We haven't added any hours. They're all remaining the same, 37.5 full-time hours on my position and 18 assistant hours. These are consistent. They've remained the same for the past couple of years. This budget is exactly the same as it's been the last couple of years. The operating budget is exactly the same and completely flat. We've been able to hold the line on a lot of that, even though some prices obviously have increased because we've had ARPA funding. And I do still have ARPA funding going into this year. So we're in pretty good shape and nothing has really changed with this budget. As I said, there's a slight increase, but that's something we have absolutely no control over. It's just the cost of living stuff that happens every year.
Okay. And Sue, I was at a department head meeting today and was asked if you felt you had enough in store for heating assistance funding.
I believe I do. So
Mhm.
the oil prices thankfully went down. As you probably notice when you go to fill your gas tank, that's pretty much the same thing that happens.
Mhm.
With oil, it's basically following the same trajectory. So right now we're in pretty good shape. CRT, which is the Energy Assistance Arm of DSS, has kicked in. They are very slow this year. We have had to use a lot of our funding getting people going. And of course, it's been extremely cold. But it looks like we're going to be in good shape going through this year. Next year, there may need to be some increases, but through this year, we're still in good shape and I still have some ARPA funding for that as well.
Okay, thank you. So Chairman, you need to call for a vote on the social services budget.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Susan? Okay, we will take a vote to accept the proposed budget for the 2005 to 2025 to 2026. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. I think it's because it's online. I'd need you to raise your hands if you don't mind. So all in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Any abstentions?
Any opposed, any extensions? Then we've passed it. Susan, great job. I don't know how you do all of what you do. You work very hard. Thank you for the community.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. And Susan, if you don't want to stay on for the rest of the meeting, you're certainly welcome to go. I know you're busy. But
Go home, Susan, get warm.
Our new senior strings and senior art program, since it hit Events Magazine, I have already fielded 30 phone calls since yesterday.
Oh, wow,
We have
that's
new
awesome.
members for both things, and I've actually got a wait list on the art classes right now.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
amazing.
We might even be having to add more of them, and the feedback has been great. They're all older folks and they're all really anxious to do something and, you know, are really happy to join the program. They're taking those old instruments out of their closet, so we're gonna be
How
on
about-
ensemble pretty soon.
Do you have any report on your gazebo for senior housing?
Yes, the gazebo has been erected. We're just putting finishing touch things in there. There was some concrete getting done issues because of the cold coming in a little sooner than we had planned. It's supposed to be 55 for that. So they got the platform down, they got the gazebo up, but the sidewalks and some stuff of the infrastructure is not finished due to us running out of good weather. But it'll be operational 100% for spring.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Okay, I'm going to go into the director's report and then I'll do the YFS budget presentation at the end of that. So the first thing on your agenda is the Starlight Festival, and Senior Strings was participating in the Starlight Festival with us on December 7th. They were located under the portico at Kate, And I think they had about 12 musicians that day. It was very well received and really nice to see them there. The event at a whole, and I want to thank Taryn on the call through Park and Rec. I think the event was well attended. All the participants that were coming up to our table were really excited about the activities for kids and the variety of things that were available there. And I want to thank Commission members Marianne and Jeff and their families for coming by and saying hello, and a lot of department folks from town came as well. Really appreciated that. Our fundraiser from that, we donated $1,600 to Shoreline Soup Kitchens and Pantries. So that's our main focus for that day when we do it, and that's always nice. And I will mention this on our recording because it's always part of what all of our grants look for, but the collaborative partners for that activity were the Economic Development Committee, the Police Department, OSPD, and OS Park and Rec, as well as us and many other civic organizations, the Lions, the Knights of Columbus, and the Rotary. Not the Rotary. Lions, Knights of Columbus, the Masons, I'm sorry. I want to make sure I give them credit. So it's a great way for us all to come together and provide some holiday fun for residents. The next thing to speak of is the holiday giving program, and some of the stats related to that are compared to last year, 2024, the total children served were 162, families served were 62. In 2023, it was 64 families and 167 children. 2024 was 62 families and 162 children. So really relatively the same. This year we had 11 grandparents, some who are raising grandchildren, but some who are just in town but wanted to have something to have for their grandchildren. And the number of grandchildren served is between 40 and 44. So it was very well attended. It was really, I think, the first year in my memory since 2010 where we didn't get calls the next day where people had, some negative feedback or weren't quite satisfied with how it had gone. But I think it was really very efficient and went well. So I want to thank Brittany Eckert and Kelsey Christensen and the Social Services Department for all of the help with that. And also Lisa Castro and all the teams within the school who helped communicate for us with families who may not get our emails or newsletters or be unaware of the programs. We always get some calls from them and we email the form over to them, and they're great about getting it back to us. So thank you.
Heather, thank you also. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Then the survey that I mentioned to you the last time, the Youth Voices Count survey, and I want to thank Dave Plotkin and all the school administrators for helping that. That was a very seamless process as well. A lot of moving parts to put into place. So thank you again, Dave and Joe Anastasio. So the total number of students registered for grades 6 through 12 is 579. The number of responses we got was 478. So we were very happy to have that. Some were students whose parents had opted them out, and the others were people who were not in school that day. So the number that opted out was relatively small. I'll find you the exact number, but we were very glad that most people wanted to participate. It was the first year we'd ever done a grade as young as 6, and our staff were over there during that period of time. And for that grade level, some of the wording in the questions was hard for them to understand. And also were not aware or familiar of some of the names of substances, that's good news. But we were there and the teachers were very helpful also in explaining some of the questions to kids. The high school, we did hear back from students who let our staff here know that they actually really like taking that survey because it asks some questions that other surveys they take don't ask. So when we plan our conversations, once the data comes back to us, we'll definitely be having some small community conversation circles with high school age students and administrators first. The first report goes to the Board of Ed, and I'll let you all know when that is, because that would be a combined, if you can attend the commission and Board of Ed at the same time, probably hybrid, so you wouldn't necessarily have to come to central office. But the whole next year is going to be a process of identifying the needs through this data and then developing the programs and information to address those. Any questions about that? Okay. We have an upcoming youth advocacy project, and this is really around our Youth Prevention Action Coalition, YPAC, which formerly known as YAC. One of the things that the program coordinators and I have noticed is that students are very actively engaged in so many activities that having meetings with them is a bit of a challenge in terms of time that works for everybody. And so we determined that potentially having a project-driven timeline was going to be more impactful in the sense of getting them together for specific work projects and then having an end event for the community. So we had been working with youthcontinuum.org, which is a community organization in New Haven. Actually, it's been there since 1964, I think, that works with trafficking concerns in youth ages 18 to 26. Tomorrow, you'll all get a link from a report called the DALIO report, DALIO. It's Connecticut's Unspoken Crisis. It's about disconnected youth. And currently in Connecticut, there's 119 youth or young adults aged 18 to 26 who are unemployed or unemployable. And they're at risk for a lot of different things: lifetime economic impact, maybe having graduated from high school, and they're disconnected from education and employment. So some of the data that we're gathering now and some of the interventions and programs we'll design going forward are aimed at a state effort to work on the top 6 priorities on that report that you'll get a copy of tomorrow. So I wanted to tie that together and also speak to that. This morning, we had a legislative meeting in our regional chapter. It was virtual. Again, very well attended by state reps and Senator Needleman and Martha Marks, Devin Carney, where we had an opportunity, along with our ombudsman and CYSA director, to talk about some of the challenges that youth service bureaus face ongoing related to having resources and staffing significant enough to address the rising areas of concern. Staffing changes, the funding changes have not really kept up with what's needed in a lot of different areas for youth service bureaus. So the link for that legislative breakfast will also go out to you in case you have an interest in hearing it, but there's an attached PowerPoint, which you can probably go through fairly quickly to catch the main points. But it's always great to get together with the chapter to hear what everybody's doing, and youth service bureaus are really a value added to all the towns. So I'm always proud to be part of that. Okay, so the budget presentation, we're going to go to the main page here. And similarly to Susan's in social services. And actually, I want to start first by thanking Angela Gadry for the immense amount of help she offers me putting this together every year. It's always very appreciated and needed. So you'll see, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. That the budget overall from last year to the next year, it's 3.31% increase. And again, that's really related to salary and benefits. Benefits, as you can imagine, with healthcare and whatnot, is the most significant impact in terms of how our budget's impacted. And then on the longer sheets that you get, which are the budget workshop, the utilities is always a huge hike in electricity. So we're not in danger in any area of being cut in funding that allows us to do what we do. We're always just mindful of the extras and keeping within the guidelines that the town requests of us. So the salary is a 2.73 increase. And again, those are step increases or cost of living increases. Benefits has gone up 6.62%, which is average for the national grid, and operations are 0.81%. So currently, in terms of funding, you could go to this page, please. think I sent that to you. Not that one. It might have been slide 2. Hang on one sec, folks.
Where are you? You did the effects.
I don't know. I'm gonna read through this piece and I can send you a copy. I may not have sent Brittany the right one, but you'll have the information you need to vote. Actually, the first sheet that I just went over is the one that we're voting on. But I wanted to let you know the budget's funded by an appropriation, as you know, from the town grants and client fees. The town will make an appropriation of $488,580, which will fund approximately 76% of our operations. And it'll utilize the YFS income fund in the amount of $10,000 or 1% of the funding requirement. The balance of funding continues to come from 2 sources: grants, which will fund approximately 7%, and that number is $47,483, and client fees, which we estimate and project at $100,000. So that funds the remaining 16%. There are no new added expenses, no new staff positions, just annual increases associated with salaries and inflation. Expectation for revenue remains the same. And the ARPA approved funds include coverage of Social Security and benefits for the 2 staff employees impacted, which is a part-time clinician and a part-time program coordinator. And the 3rd position, which is the bilingual social worker, it's a subcontracting position, doesn't receive benefits from the budget. The good news about that position is I have not been able to find anyone to fulfill that role. And I made a proposal to the superintendent and director of people and professional services. And we're currently looking at 2 employees who are interested in splitting the responsibility that's outlined in that job description. So I'm very excited to know we'll be able to spend down that money and have 2 different folks who are connected to what may be a somewhat marginalized population in our community and potentially increase their attachment to the community and schools. So that's very exciting. Any questions from anybody? I know it's a lot of info.
Certainly took a lot of time of people in your office, but also specifically you. Great job, great job.
Thank you. I did want to mention it, and it doesn't show up on the budget sheets that you'll get, but we did receive a legacy donation this year of money from an estate, a long time Old Saybrook resident, whose family we've known for a long time, gave us a donation that's in a separate line item that we're allowed to tap into for either supporting scholarships for kids to be involved in things, positive youth development programming, or mental health services. So that, in addition to a sizable donation at Christmas time from a corporate donor, we have some money where our fees are very reasonable and low for all of our programs. And sometimes the school guidance team will reach out to us and just ask, can we waive a fee? And we always do. We always want kids who want to be involved to be able to be involved. And that shouldn't be a barrier to them doing something here. So.
Heather, do we need to vote on this as the commission?
Yes, please.
Could someone please move that we vote for this budget that's been prepared by Heather and
Angela.
certainly looks very valid in today's economy.
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
The biggest decrease looks like it was 21% for purchase professional services, $3,500 difference, which is a decrease. Just wondering how you're able to make that change.
Sure. Sometimes changes like that are made for us, and really it's we'll still be able to do what we needed to do. That professional services covers things like our medical billing provider, who collects our client fees, some of our consultant fee. Really what the town looks for is that we come out within the bottom line. And so some of those numbers are fairly fluid, would you say, in terms of, so they wanted to show that we were having more money towards our utilities than we previously had planned for. But ultimately, we have everything we need in both those categories.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure that you had what you needed there.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're not eliminating anything to come in at that.
Are there any other questions or comments from anyone? Okay, all those in favor on the commission to accept this budget to be presented on January 28th to the Board of Finance, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, almost.
Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Nice job, Heather. Student reports, did you have anything come in, Heather, from any
We
students?
did not, we did not.
Any old business?
If I could mention just something related to student feedback we'd gotten a month or so ago, and Mr. Clocken, this would be for your consideration. One of our student reps mentioned that sometimes there are some student activities where student families who may not be able to afford something may feel like they are missing an opportunity. So I just wanted to, speaking of the legacy and the donation that we received recently, I'd like you to know and just, file away somewhere that if something like that comes up and you're aware of it, that we may be able to assist with that. So I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Was that a general comment or was there a specific event or?
Thank you.
It was one of the trips that they were going
It was a
on
trip.
to the Capitol or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was for the Model UN, maybe?
Okay,
Trip,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. I'll see where we stand with that.
okay.
Thank you, David. Is there any new business advocacy or anyone have any questions for our commission? Hearing none, would someone please move that we adjourn?
I'll make,
Mary Ann's right here with her hand up. The whole-
You can stay here all night. David,
Yeah.
is there a second?
A second.
Lisa, second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Have a great warm night.